Prosper Log, show date 140908. This is a special day for Star Trek fans, as today marks the 48th anniversary of when Star Trek premiered on NBC. Thank you, Gene Roddenberry, for bringing that to us. I give you the Prosper salute. All right, before we begin the show, let's get the sponsor out of the way for this week. I'm kicking it over to Beer and Song of the Day, run by our good friend Josh Baker. Check him out and give him some likes on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Beer and Song of the Day, all one word. If you can't spell it, well, you got issues. All right, got to start it the right way, got to start out with the beer. I'm going with Yuengling today, thanks to my good friend Shylor Terry here at Earth Station Okinawa with me. Yuengling Lager, I don't see an ABV on it. I'll find out and I'll put it up. Here we go. Proper opening apparatus, proper technique. Listen to that popping. You gotta pour the beer just the right way to get just the right head. You know how it goes. Good pour, good pour. All right. Cheers to y'all, or as the Klingons would say, Kapla! All right, let's start this off. Got to start it off the right way. Start off with the birthdays. First two, I actually have an interesting story about these guys. September 1st, Sean Jones, and September 2nd, Daulton Cosner. Now, I got a good story about these guys. It's Jones' first night here at Earth Station Okinawa. I picked him up. We all went to Chili's for dinner, and Daulton was with us. So what I did, me, this guy, what I did was I flagged down the waitress when Daulton wasn't there. I said, "Hey, you see the guy in the light blue shirt? It's his birthday today, but don't tell him I put you up to this." She's like, "Okay, we'll take care of it." And then sure enough, they come out and sing happy birthday to him at Chili's, and he turns around to see who it was, and I'm just sitting there like this. You guys, happy birthday to you, even though it's a little late. Happy birthday. I drink to you both. All right, next on the list. Beer and Song of the Day superfan Renee Phillips. I actually met her when I was visiting Josh in Texas. She's a good gal. She likes Tennessee football. She likes Peyton Manning, but she doesn't like the Broncos. Hey, nobody's perfect. Renee, happy belated birthday to you. Here's drinking one for you. All right. Next on the list. Now, this is a gal that I kind of met through Josh. I haven't actually met her yet in person, but during football season, Josh will put up a Facebook post where he lists all the games that are playing, and he'll run off his picks. It's essentially his football trash talk post for the week. This gal, Michelle Loomis. Happy birthday to you. I hope things are going well for you. Now, she's a little bit of a weirdo. She's one of those people that roots for Tom. Giselle won't let me go to the Pro Bowl. Brady, but she likes Eli Manning. Hey, she's one of the weird ones. You know what? I'm weird too. I'm all right with that. Here's drinking to you. All right. Next up, from the 4th, Sharon Seskowski. Now, I knew her when I was in Germany. Sharon is now living in South Kakalaki. Sharon, I'm glad I talked to you. I actually talked to you the other day. I'm glad things are going well for you. I'm sorry it's a little hot there, but hey, you'll make it. I'm making it here. It's hot here too. So hey, I'll drink to you. All right, next on the list. Maddy Gieslin. Now, Maddy is my cousin through marriage. She's my house commander's cousin. She's my house commander's second cousin. And Maddy, you're a little too young to enjoy one of these, so I'm going to say, cheers and root beer. Hope you had a happy birthday. Enjoy. All right. Next on the list, Sara Gerton. I knew her as Sarah Snap. How are you? I hope things are going well for you. I see you're happily married, got a family, kids. I'm glad to see that for you. I'm glad things are going all right. Sarah, here's drinking to you. All right. Next up on the 6th, there's Lucky. Hi, Lucky. Hi, Lucky. All right, next up on the 6th. Now, this is a fellow brother Mason. The last one I had the honor of initiating at Williamsburg Lodge. Justin McDonald, now living in Florida, the old people's state. Justin, what's up, brother? I hope life's treating you well. I see you're doing all right. Wicked awesome beard you got going there. Oh, I just used a bakerism. I'll get over it. Justin, my brother, cheers and beers to you. All right. Now, this next birthday is actually, I'm recording this Saturday for Monday. This next birthday is actually tomorrow. Iris Carpenter. Now, Iris is a gal that I knew while I was in Germany. She's now a proud stay-at-home mom, raising 3 little boys all on her own with her husband, still working. Iris, happy birthday. Glad to see things are going well for you. I wish you all the best of luck. And last but not least, on the same calendar date that Star Trek debuted, just a little bit later, Fara Baker. Yes, this is the Fara Baker. Josh Baker's love goddess. Fara, I want to thank you and Josh for having Dad and I back last November in your home. That really meant a lot. Thank you very much, and I hope Josh spoils you. Fara, I drink to you. All right. Now, these next two, the birthdays, done. Additional greetings. These next two, I have the infamous Josh Baker Facebook bet with. What that is the winner of the bet. The winning, it's basically centered around sports. Okay, you've got a game like, for instance, the Colts Broncos game that's taking place Monday. I have a bet with Nichole Duncan and Brandon Osborne. Now, the way the bet works is if the Colts win the Colts win, Nichole and Brandon are going to be wearing Colts pictures as their profile and cover photo on their Facebook profiles for 24 hours. But if somehow the Broncos manage to upset my beloved Colts, I'm going to wear Broncos colors on my page. You know what? You two, good luck. You're going to need it. All right, shout-outs. Done. Let us look at the next thing. Football picks. I've got football picks, my personal picks from the 11th all the way through the 15th. Week 2, folks. Here they are. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. This one is kind of tough. I'm not a big fan of either team. I have a feeling that Baltimore is really going to upset Pittsburgh on this one, so I'm going with them. On the 14th, Miami at Buffalo. I'm rooting for Miami on this one. I really am. I've only seen one game, but I liked what I saw. Going with Miami. Jacksonville at Washington. There is no way I'm going to root for Jacksonville. Jacksonville is in my conference. Not rooting for the Jaguars. I'm sorry. Same goes for the next matchup. Dallas at Tennessee. I'm rooting for Dallas on this one. Whew. Sorry about that. I don't know what came over me. No. Going for Dallas on this one. Arizona at New York Giants. I'm not even going to touch that one. You all already know how I do this. New England at Minnesota. I think I would rather take a steel toe to the testicles than root for New England. Going with Minnesota on that one. New Orleans at Cleveland. Now, I like the underdog, but I got to be honest. I'm rooting for New Orleans. Man, oh man, oh man. I don't know what's wrong with me. All right, let's see here. Atlanta at Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot on that one, but hey, I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Detroit at Carolina. Going with Carolina on this one. You know, I really haven't seen Carolina or Detroit play. Everybody probably thinks Detroit's going to win. No, I don't know. I'm I'm going off on this one. I'm going to pick off on this one. St. Louis at Tampa Bay. I think I'm going to go with the Bucks. Tampa Bay Bucks. I think I'm going with them this week. Seattle at San Diego. I don't like either team. I mean, sorry, I don't. My pick for that game is going to be Seattle. Man, I'm sorry, folks. I'm really trying on this one. Houston at Oakland. Houston's my conference. Sorry. I'm gonna root for Oakland. New York Jets at Green Bay. No. No, I think I would rather take a bamboo spear in between my toe and toenail than root for the Jets. The only time I'm ever going to root for the Jets is when they play the Patriots. Going with Green Bay on this one. Kansas City at Denver. Now, Kansas City played a good game last year in the playoffs against my beloved Colts. But no, sorry. I shouldn't even have to say that one. For all y'all that really know me, I shouldn't have to say anything. Chicago at San Francisco. With the way San Francisco's looking right now, 12-4, 12 felonies and 4 convictions, going with the Bears. And finally, on the 15th, Philadelphia at Indy. Do you really Here, let me ask you this. Do you really think I'm going to root for Philadelphia? If you do, you got something else coming. All right. Now, gotten through all that, it's time for the last bit of this episode, where I talk about Star Trek for a little bit. This week's episode, Dagger of the Mind. Basically, the Enterprise pays visit and drops off cargo at the Tantalus 5 penal colony. And they take aboard cargo. What they don't know is that cargo is not actually cargo, but it's a person stuck inside. Essentially, he tries to get asylum from the captain, or tries to go somewhere else to a different planet, before he's immobilized. They go back to Tantalus 5, and Captain Kirk and a psychotherapist beam down. Have a look around. And before Captain Kirk knows it, he is being brainwashed by Dr. Adams. He's brainwashed to where he feels like he is in love with his assistant to beam down with him on the landing party, and would rather die without her. Would rather die without being with her. And it's not until Spock is able to beam down and save the day, go figure, that the captain is shook of it. Unfortunately, in the course of this, Dr. Adams is dead. All right. That is the breakdown of the episode. Now let's go behind the scenes. The wall behind the transporter console has been replaced with a panel from engineering in this episode. This is so the transporter operator can be distracted by checking the instruments as Van Gelder emerges from the box that's on the pad. When Technician Fields calls the bridge to report sighting Van Gelder in the corridor, the sign on the wall next to him says Personnel Director. Another sign in the corridor can be seen to say Science Library, while one with an arrow points to the briefing room. The chair used in the neuralizer room was later reused by Garth in Whom Gods Destroy. I actually knew that one. Albert Whitlock's matte painting for Where No Man Has Gone Before is recycled here, with the towers on the fuel bins painted out and a different doorway added to match with the live action footage filmed of Kirk and Helen entering the surface shaft. He said shaft. This was made as a compromise between Gene Roddenberry and Bob Justman. Roddenberry wanted Kirk and Helen to arrive on the surface, then go underground via the elevator, while Justman urged him to eliminate this scene and let them beam down directly into Dr. Adams' office, thus saving the cost of creating a matte painting and some extra sets. Roddenberry kept the surface scene in, but reused the old matte painting created for the second pilot. Hey, you gotta compromise sometimes. So look, it's about making everybody happy. Some of the colony interiors are reused and redressed sets left over from the previous episode, What Are Little Girls Made Of? The treatment smocks worn by Adams and Eli have the same insignia as Dr. Corey in Whom Gods Destroyed. You know, it seems to me like they borrowed a lot from this episode for Whom Gods Destroy. Is it just me? I don't know. I could be wrong. This episode is mentioned as taking place after a Christmas party in the science labs. This is one of the few times a religious holiday is mentioned in the Star Trek future, and Christmas in particular was never mentioned again until Star Trek Generations. Additionally, the surname of the character who mentions this Christmas party to Kirk is Helen Noel, which means Christmas in French. This episode marks the first appearance of the Vulcan mind meld. The final shooting draft of this script had Spock placing his hands on Van Gelder's abdomen while performing the mind meld. It's not a mind meld if you got your hands on somebody's gut. That's a gut probe. If you got a mind meld with somebody, do it where your frickin' mind is. Although I don't know how... Nope, I'm not going to go there. Moving on. The box beamed up from Tantalus in which Van Gelder is hiding is labeled Bureau of Penology, Stockholm, Eurasia, NE. This may indicate that in the 23rd century, independent nations will no longer exist on Earth. Hey, United Earth. That's a good goal. I'm all for United Earth. A shipping label produced for Star Trek Deep Space Nine shows that a now elderly Dr. Van Gelder is still in charge of the Tantalus penal colony in the 2370s. Let's look at something here. Dr. Van Gelder looks, what, 60s, that episode? Okay. And we established earlier that this episode is set roughly 23... Where is it? 2366. Oh, that's later on. 2366. Okay. So that is roughly... That puts him almost in his 170s. Good God, that man's old. The flashback scenes of last year's Christmas party... Here's what I was looking for. Indicate that the mid-2260s Starfleet uniforms were issued by the end of 2265. That eliminates that whole freaking turtleneck look from Where No Man's Gone Before and everything. I didn't like those. Alright, I'm going off on a tangent. Let me get back on track. The first draft of this episode's script was turned in on 6 July 1966. The final draft was turned in 30 July, and the revised final draft turned in August 5th, with further revised pages dated 6 and 8 August. Hey, need a little extra time. It happens. This was a good one. I'm glad they took the time. Writer S. Bar David is a pen name of Simon Winselberg. He incorporated several references to Jewish parables into the screenplay. The part of Helen Noel was originally written for Grace Lee Whitney's character Janice Rand. However, producers wanted to avoid showing Kirk becoming involved with her, and Whitney was already on the verge of leaving the show due to personal problems on the set. In any event, from a more dramatic point of view, it made more sense for a trained psychotherapist rather than a yeoman to accompany Kirk to the Tantalus rehabilitation colony. It did make more sense. Can you imagine Janice going down to that planet? She'd be like, can we get some coffee, Captain? Doctor, you want some coffee? Come on. The title of this episode is taken from a line of Shakespeare's play Macbeth. Macbeth is preparing to murder Duncan, the King of Scotland, and sees a dagger that he attempts to grasp, only to discover it is a figment of his imagination. This is pretty good stuff. I should brush up on Shakespeare a little bit. The name Lethe is a reference to the River of Forgetfulness in Greek mythology. I had to look at that one again. The shot of the Enterprise miniature heading back to Tantalus at the beginning of Act 2 does not appear in any other episode. The ship shifts slightly before veering out of frame. When this shot is used in other episodes, the model merely veers off. Imagine that. I thought that scene looked a little long. This was the final episode, except for Assignment Earth, solely produced by Gene Roddenberry. I'll touch that one later. The producers still hadn't settled on background sound effects for the bridge when this episode was produced. Both the older bridge sound effect, first heard in the cage, and the familiar whirring sound that eventually would become standard were used in this episode. I don't blame him on this one. After finishing this episode, Morgan Woodward, who played the emotionally and physically intense role of Dr. Simon Van Gelder, reportedly went home and took a rest for 4 days. Now you see why I was having trouble in my picks. James Doohan and George Takei do not appear in this episode. And finally, Scotty appeared in the original script operating the transporter in the first scene, when Van Gelder is beamed aboard. His appearance was nixed by Bob Justman, who saw this as a way of saving costs by eliminating Doohan, who should have had been paid $890 for this episode, and replacing him with a random performer, Larry Anthony, playing Lieutenant Berkeley, hired for a much lower salary. Hey, they were cost savvy back in the day, too. Not as bad as we are now. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Speaking of doing things you gotta do, let me finish this here beer. Psych. Now I got it. Empties the brain cells of the average Sequest fan. Well, folks, it's been fun. It's been fun doing this one with you today. Also, remember, it's the love of Star Trek that brings us here. It's my love of Star Trek that makes me do this show. And it is my house commander that actually lets me get away with it. Just playing. Ooh! While I'm thinking about it, I should have showed this off earlier. Football season. This is one of the shirts I just picked up in the mail the other day. And yes, Dan Butler, you Dallas Cowboys loving pain in the butt, you already decided to parody this shirt by putting the same logo on a roll of toilet paper. Do you see me smiling? I'm not amused. The horseshoe is not amused. Even the New England Cheaters fans are not amused. I know, I went off topic. I don't care. Had to give you a little love, Dan. Alright, well, y'all know what time it is. It's time for me to head out, so y'all take care, have an awesome night or day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, name it after me. Don't drink and drive, because you might spill your drink, or worse yet, you might kill yourself, or somebody else. And drinking and driving is dumber than being a Sequest fan. And what's dumber than that? It's rooting for little crybabies like Tom. Giselle won't let me go to the Pro Bowl! Brady. Men slapping women, racism, animal abuse, people who welch on bets, fake friends, or anybody who is a member of, supports, or defends the Westboro Baptist Church. Things like that are just plain stupid, and I don't have time for those shenanigans. So y'all take care, have a good night or day, and always remember, live long and prosper.